Hey guys and gals, I have another video for you today. I hope you enjoy. Here is the title to the first story. Karen demands my seat on a plane, so I made her regret it. Alright, let me tell you about the time I had the most absurd encounter with a Karen on a long-haul flight. I never thought I'd be one of those people with a crazy travel story, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. Strap in, because this one is a ride. So, for context, I travel a lot for work. I'm no stranger to delayed flights, plain airport food, and the occasional obnoxious passenger. But what happened on this particular trip took the cake. I had a work conference in New York, and after a grueling 3-day event, all I wanted was to sit back, enjoy my first-class seat, a rare treat, thanks to an upgrade, and get some much-needed rest on my flight home. I board the plane, find my seat, and settle in. I'm in one of those single-pod seats, the kind that reclines fully into a bed. Pure luxury. As I pull out my noise-canceling headphones and get ready to relax, I hear a voice that immediately sets off my internal alarm bells. "Excuse me, young man." I turn to see a middle-aged woman, the very embodiment of what the internet has lovingly dubbed a Karen. The short bob haircut, the resting condescending face, the designer bag that she clutches like it's made of solid gold that is probably fake. Behind her stands a teenage boy, who looks absolutely mortified. "Yes?" I ask, already dreading whatever request is about to come. She lets out a dramatic sigh. "I'm traveling with my son, and we got separated. I'm back there in economy, and he's sitting up here in first class. He's only 16, and I'd feel much better if we could switch seats so I can sit with him." Now, I'd have sympathy for her if the kid looked like he needed supervision. But he wasn't some toddler who needed his mommy. He was literally taller than me. I am 6 foot, by the way. I don't know what this woman was feeding him, but it was working. Anyways, judging by his face, he wanted nothing more than to disappear from existence at that moment. I glance at the seat beside me, expecting to see an awkward teenage boy, but it's empty. "Wait," I say, trying to process this. "If your son's in first class, where is he sitting?" "Oh, he's in 3A," she says nonchalantly. I blink. 3A was a window seat in first class. The same class she was trying to kick me out of. "So, let me get this straight," I say slowly. "You want me to move to economy so that you can take my first-class seat, while your son stays in first class?" "Exactly," she says with a bright, smug smile, as if she just offered me a winning lottery ticket. I chuckle, assuming she's joking. But her expression remains serious. Yeah, that's not happening," I say, shaking my head. "I paid for this seat." Her smile vanishes. "Excuse me? I'm not switching," I say simply, her lips pressed together into a thin line. "I'm a mother," she says, as if that's some kind of universal trump card. "You're a young man. You don't need this seat as much as I do." I resist the urge to roll my eyes. "Your son is in first class," I remind her. "You could take his seat, and he could sit in economy." Her face twitches, as if the idea physically pained her. "That's not an option," she says sharply. "I booked his ticket with points. I paid for mine separately, and I wasn't able to upgrade. It's very important that I sit in first class, and it's very important that I stay in the seat I paid for," I reply. Her eyes narrow, and then she tries a new tactic. "Please," she says, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. "I just really need to be up here. My son has anxiety. He needs me." I glance at the kid again, who now has his face buried in his phone, clearly pretending he doesn't exist. "He looks fine to me," I say. That's when the Karen transformation happens. She twists her face until she is scowling me, and she throws up her hands. "I cannot believe how selfish you're being," she shrieks, loud enough that a few passengers turn to look. Now I hate drama. I really do. But something about her entitlement grates on me. So I lean back in my seat and stare at her calmly. "Ma'am," I say, keeping my voice even, "you are welcome to ask someone else to switch seats with you. But I'm not moving." She glares at me like I just told her I eat puppies for breakfast. Then she storms off, presumably to find a flight attendant. I think that's the end of it. Reddit. I have never been so wrong. A few minutes later, she returns with a flight attendant in tow. "This young man refuses to accommodate a mother in need," she declares, her voice quivering with manufactured distress. The flight attendant looks at me, then back at her. Sir, is this true? I sigh and nod. Yes, because she's not actually asking to sit with her son, she just wants my seat for herself. The flight attendant turns to Karen. Ma'am, we cannot force passengers to change seats. If you would like to switch, you'll need to find another passenger who is willing. Karen's face turns beet red. But he's young, he doesn't need first class, I do. The flight attendant gives her a professional yet unimpressed look. Ma'am, your options are to take your assigned seat or disembark. Karen opens her mouth like she's about to argue, but then she glances around and realizes everyone is watching. Huffing, she spins on her heel and storms back to economy. I think it's over. But oh no. Karen isn't done. That was only her trap card. About an hour into the flight, I get up to use the restroom. When I return, I notice something strange. Karen is in my seat. I stop in the aisle, just staring at her. She sees me and gives me this sickly sweet smile. Oh, I didn't think you'd mind since you got up. I take a deep breath, mentally counting to 10. Get out. She doesn't move. The flight's almost over anyway. Just let me sit here. I lean down, making sure my voice is low but firm. You have exactly 5 seconds to move, or I'm going to drag you out of that seat myself. Her eyes dart around, and for a moment, I think she's going to argue. But then she scoffs and mutters something about selfish young people, before gathering her things and stomping back to economy. As soon as she's gone, the passenger across the aisle bursts out laughing. Dude, I've been waiting all flight for that woman to get put in her place. The rest of the flight goes smoothly, and as we land, I see Karen sulking in her seat, defeated. Moral of the story? Entitlement doesn't get you far. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply not giving in. That is the end of the first story. Hearing the part where he said, I will drag you out of that seat myself, I couldn't stop laughing. Here is the second story. This is the title. Crazy Karen tries to get me arrested. Backfires hilariously. Alright, let me start by saying I never thought I'd be at the center of a neighborhood feud, let alone one that involved the police. But thanks to an entitled Karen, I got to experience firsthand how karma can be a real comedian. I moved into my house about 3 years ago. It's a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind where people wave when they drive by, and the most dramatic thing that usually happens is someone forgetting to take their trash cans in on time. I was excited to settle in and enjoy my new place. Unfortunately, I soon discovered that I had a neighbor who believed she was the queen of the cul-de-sac. Let's call her Karen. Karen was the type of person who had an opinion on everything and wasn't shy about sharing it. Whether it was how people parked their cars, what color someone painted their door, or even how often they mowed their lawns, she always had something to say. And if you didn't do things her way? Well, then you were clearly a menace to society and the neighborhood. For the first few months, I tried to be civil. I smiled, nodded, and even humored her ridiculous comments about my too modern mailbox. I don't even know what that means. But then things escalated. She started complaining that my security camera, which was pointed at my own driveway, was spying on her house. She said my car was too loud when I left for work in the morning. She even told me my Halloween decorations were too scary for the children, even though I had exactly one pumpkin on my porch and a simple ghost on my front lawn. I chalked it up to her just being an overly involved busybody. Annoying? Yes. We're starting a war over? No, that was until she tried to get me arrested one evening. I was working late in my home office when I heard loud banging on my front door. Confused, I checked my security camera, ironically the one she hated, and saw 2 police officers standing outside. My stomach dropped. I didn't think I had done anything wrong, so why were the cops at my door? I opened up, and before I could even say anything, one of the officers said, Sir, we received a call about a stolen package. Your neighbor claims she has evidence that you took it. What? I asked, completely baffled. Karen, who had been lurking nearby with her arms crossed like she was about to witness the biggest scandal of the year, stepped forward. That's right, officer, she said smugly. I have him on camera taking a package off my porch. Now, here's where things got interesting. First of all, I had no reason to steal her package. Second, my security system covered my entire property, so if I had actually gone onto her porch, I'd have it recorded too. I was already mentally preparing to fight this ridiculous accusation when Karen whipped out her phone and showed the cops a blurry video. "This proves it," she announced triumphantly. "You can see a man in dark clothing taking the package from my porch." I glanced at the video, and I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. I was almost rolling on the floor in my doorway. The man in the dark clothing was the Amazon delivery guy. The cops took one look at the footage and exchanged a glance. One of them sighed and said, "Ma'am, this appears to be the delivery driver dropping off the package, not someone stealing it." Karen's smug expression faltered. No, that's him. I know it's him," she insisted, while pointing at me. I crossed my arms. "Karen, that guy has a completely different build than me. And look, he's wearing an Amazon uniform." The officer turned to Karen. "Ma'am, did you actually confirm that your package was stolen?" Karen hesitated. "Well, I mean, it wasn't on my porch when I checked, but..." Just then, another neighbor, Mr. Thompson, walked up holding a package. "Hey Karen, this got delivered to my house by mistake. I was gonna bring it by earlier, but I got caught up." The look on Karen's face was priceless. I had a smile so big it was almost ear to ear. The officer raised an eyebrow. "So, this is the missing package?" Karen turned bright red. I guess so." The other officer shook his head. "Ma'am, making a false report is a serious offense. If you do this again, you could be facing real charges." Karen stammered, trying to save face, but the cops weren't interested. They gave me an apologetic nod and left, warning her one more time before driving off. As soon as they were gone, she huffed and stormed back inside her house without a word. As for me, I made sure to send a copy of her ridiculous evidence to the neighborhood group chat, where it became an instant meme. And the best part? A few weeks later, Karen's own security camera caught her taking a different neighbor's package by accident. When confronted, she claimed she thought it was for her. The irony was delicious. Since then, she's kept her distance. I still see her glaring at me from her porch occasionally, but she hasn't tried pulling anything else. I guess she finally realized that some battles just aren't worth fighting, especially when karma is waiting right around the corner. But the cherry on top? A couple of months later, a new family moved in across the street. They have a teenage son who loves playing loud music in their garage, a dog that frequently runs through Karen's yard, and they host big family gatherings every weekend. One day, I overheard her arguing with the new neighbors about their dog terrorizing her lawn. The dad, clearly not having any of her nonsense, just laughed and said, "Lady, it's grass. It'll grow back." I watched from my porch with my coffee, enjoying the free entertainment. It looks like Karen finally found an opponent even she can't handle. Moral of the story? If you're going to falsely accuse someone, make sure your own security cameras aren't working against you. That is the end of the story. Some people just can't live their lives without trying to make people scared or get in trouble. It is astonishing. I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you want to watch more of my videos, I have a link in the description. You have a great day.